This video is provided only as a quick reference guide. For detailed installation instructions, refer to your Alutech dealer book. Alutech assumes no responsibility for loss or damage resulting from improper installation. Check local building codes before installation. For hurricane-related shutters, follow engineering installation instructions listed under individual Alutech products on www.floridabuildingcode.org. All electrical connections should be made in accordance with the NEC by a qualified, licensed electrician. Every Alutech rolling shutter is custom made based on your measurements. Follow the instructions on your order sheet. First, measure the clear opening, side to side and top to bottom, of the window or door. Then add the clearance needed from the side rails and shutter box. These dimensions vary depending on the type of shutter, but can be found on the order form and in your dealer book. Check your contents. For every installation, you should have 1 shutter box, 1 curtain, 2 guide or side rails, 2 pack-out rails if required, and miscellaneous hardware, which is shipped inside the shutter box. You will supply mounting hardware depending on the type of structure you're installing the rolling shutter. It's important to take care during prep and installation that painted surfaces aren't scratched and that the components aren't damaged. Remove front hood cover from the shutter box. There's a protective film on the hood and the box. It can be removed at this point or after final installation. Additional accessories will be found loose in the shutter box. Remove safety plates for access to back corners of box. Drill cable exits in back of shutter box for electrical connections and universal gear assembly for manual operation. At this point, it's a good idea to double-check measurements of the shutter box to ensure correct placement of the pack-out or guide rails. Checking measurement of box is imperative when installing multiple shutters. Measure and mark for placement of pack-out and side rails. Back caulk the pack-out or guide rails depending on the installation. Be sure that the caulk covers the pre-drilled holes. The caulk serves as both adhesive and weather protection. Attach pack-out with a single screw, then check that it is plumb and square. Continue adding the remaining fasteners. Leave top screw out or loose at this point. Whenever an installation requires a pack-out, a rain cap is also needed. The rain cap sits on top of and slips in behind the pack-out. At this point, you can secure the top screw. Install the second pack-out. Remember to caulk the back, covering the screw holes, and check for plumb and square before securing. All electrical work should be performed by a licensed electrician. Drill access hole through the pack-out approximately 2 to 3 inches below rain cap. Drill only into the hollow space of the wall. The electrician will fish hot wire to the shutter box. Be sure there's at least a 1-foot pigtail. Measure distance from rain cap to access hole. Transfer measurement to the motor side of the back side of the shutter box and drill. Caulk both sides of bevel of pack-out before installing side rail. Be sure to weather seal around the hot wire where it comes through the pack-out. Insert the pins on the shutter box into the tops of the guide rails. Lean the shutter assembly into place and feed the hot wire through the back of the shutter box. Put shutter and guide rails firmly in place. Use the included self-tapping screws for fastening the guide rails to the pack-out. Be sure to check that the guide rails are flush with the outside of the pack-out before securing. It is also recommended that you attach the shutter housing through the pack-out to the structure. Using the gearbox as a guide, drill a straight line through the structure, preferably through a stud. Working from the inside to the outside, enlarge the hole through the stud only to a minimum 1/2 inch diameter. Be careful not to damage any components when penetrating the shutter box. Feed universal gear manual attachment from inside the structure through the gearbox of the motor override. Fasten the universal gear in the room interior into the drywall. Cut off excess hex rod anywhere outside the gearbox. Create a drip loop for the motor wire. The drip loop conducts any condensation on the wire away from the electronics. Reposition and attach the safety plates at both ends of the axle. Be sure that the hot wire comes through the notch at the top of the plate on the motor side. The UL-approved waterproof fittings are available at local electrical supply houses. Connect motor wire to hot feed. Secure electrical connection to back top section of shutter housing. Connect switch to power. Final assembly. These are the components for the final assembly which are included with your order. First, drop the curtain over the axle. It's like hanging up a bathroom towel. Feed the curtain into the slots on the guide rail and slide the curtain halfway down the rails. Unroll the front half of curtain. Be aware that the packing support tube might fall out. The Easy Click T-strap hangers slide into the end of the curtain. The hook end inserts into the axle and snap into place when the curtain is rolled for the first time. The next step is to set the upper and lower limits of the curtain travel. Because each motor is different, you'll need to review the written instructions for information on your specific model. Once the upper and lower limits have been set, reattach the hood cover. Remove any protective film. Install capper tabs. Seal all exterior gaps with caulk. Once the curtain is in place, cone stoppers must be attached to prevent the curtain from rolling up into the housing. It is advisable to pre-drill these holes prior to hanging the curtain. Attach the handle to the universal gear for manual operation. Clean up your work area and collect your check. It's that easy. This video is provided only as a quick reference guide. For detailed installation instructions, refer to your Alutech dealer book. Alutech assumes no responsibility for loss or damage resulting from improper installation. Check with local building codes before installation. For hurricane-related shutters, follow engineering installation instructions listed under individual Alutech products on www.floridabuildingcode.org. All electrical connections should be made in accordance with the NEC by a qualified, licensed electrician.